Namo Namaha. This is a popular one from Taittiriya Upanishad. Matradevo bhava, Pitadevo bhava, Acharya devo bhava, Atithi devo bhava, Yanyavadhyani karmani, Tani sevitavyani, no itarani, Yanyasmakam sucharitani, Tani tvayopasyani, no itarani. So the first part of the Subhashitam is, we are familiar. Mother, father, Acharya, in other words, the spiritual teacher, and Atithi or guest are equal to God. Yanyavadhyani karmani tani sevitavyani, no itarani. Let your actions be faultless, none else. Yanyasmakam sucharitani tani tvayopasyani, no itarani. Those acts that you consider good, when done to you, do to others, none else. In other words, do as you would be done by. So, I'm going to tell you about the story of Vritrasura and Indra. So, once Indra was, as usual, holding court with the other devas, and at that time, the preceptor of the devas, Brihaspati, walked into the court. So it is expected that everybody should rise and pay their respects to the preceptor. But Indra somehow overlooked that and he continued to do whatever he was doing. So he did not pay any attention to Brihaspati at all. So this was a great fault on his part, and Brihaspati was very upset and he left the court in great anger. And not only that, it was symbolic of the fact that he had just left the devas. He was no longer the guru, the preceptor of the devas. So now how could that be? Because without a preceptor, the devas will be rendered powerless, because they are constantly in war with the asuras, and therefore they need the guidance of a preceptor. So they had to be without one for some time. Then Indra was advised to approach Twasta. Twasta was actually an asura preceptor himself, and his son Vishwarupa. It was suggested that Indra should approach Vishwarupa, because he was a brilliant scholar. Although he was an asura, he was a brilliant scholar, and he would be the right person to become the preceptor of the devas. Now Indra was a little hesitant, because Vishwarupa was an asura. How could he become the preceptor of the devas? Because eventually the devas have to be guided to fight the asuras with the help of the preceptor. So he was hesitant, but he was advised to approach Vishwarupa, because he was the only match for Brihaspati, who came close to Brihaspati's wisdom and knowledge. So Vishwarupa it was, and Vishwarupa was a brilliant scholar. He had Brahma Tejas in him, divine resplendence, and he proved to be the right preceptor for the devas. He initiated them into the incantation of the sacred mantra Om Namo Narayana, which gave the devas the Narayana Kavacha, or the armor, which would make them invincible in a war with the Asuras. So a lot of things happened under the guidance of Vishwarupa. Then once Vishwarupa was conducting a sacrifice, the devas had to be again, this was for the benefit of the devas. So as part of the sacrifice, he had to call upon each deva and give them the havis, the fruits of the sacrifice, which will make them very powerful. Now while he was doing this, Vishwarupa was an asura, right? So somewhere he had a soft corner for the asura. So he said, okay, this havis, why not I send secretly a little of this to the asuras also? That will make them also very powerful, all powerful. So unknown to anybody, or so he thought, he sent a bit of the havis to his asura, the asura community. Now Indra found this out, and he was very angry. He was enraged. In a fit of anger, he cut off the heads. Vishwarupa had 3 heads. He cut off the 3 heads of Vishwarupa. Now only after he had performed this, he realized what a great sin he had committed, because first of all, Vishwarupa was the preceptor, and how could Indra, the all-knower, he is the Indra, he is the ruler of the heavens, how could he do this Brahmahatya, commit this Brahmahatya? He realized his mistake. so he approached and he then approached Vishnu, and he said, this has happened, what should I do? Such a great sin has been committed by me. In the meantime, Vishwarupa's father, Twastha, was enraged. He said, what have you done? You have killed my son. Then immediately he performed a yaga and a sacrifice, and from that rose a very frightful asura. His name was Vritta. So Vritta Asura rose from the sacrificial fire of Twastha, and the purpose of getting this Asura was to kill Indra. Okay, so now Indra was already at the feet of Vishnu, and he was saying, what is it that I'm going to do now? Vritasura is also after my life. How do I protect myself? Then Vishnu advised him. He says, no, you approach sage Dadichi and you ask the sage to give up his body. He will, and fashion a weapon, a new weapon for yourself from the bones of sage Dadichi that will make you invincible, and you will be able to fight the Asura, Vritta. So sage Dadichi agreed to give up his body, and from his bones the Vajra, the thunderbolt, Indra's primary weapon, was fashioned. And after that a fierce battle started between Vritta and Indra. So a single combat began, and in the meantime Vritta was so powerful, he defeated all the devas, and eventually when Indra arrived with his thunderbolt, it was a single combat between the two of them. So Vritta laughed at him and he said, come on, he had a trident with him. He said, look at this, I am going to kill you with this trident. You have committed such a great sin, you have killed your guru, and I am here to avenge his death. Then Indra also, he was also furious, but then after some time Vritta started speaking words of wisdom. He started saying, you have committed so much of sin, Indra, but not me. I have been created to kill you, all right, but I have dedicated myself to the Lord, and I know after my death I will eventually, I have already set my mind on the Lord. So whatever be the outcome of this war with you, I'll give my best. I'm supposed to do what I am, but whatever be the outcome, I'm not worried. I'm just going to do my duty, and I have already started, but my heart is already at the lotus feet of the Lord. So Indra was rather surprised to see these words of wisdom from an Asura, and an Asura who has transcended all the worldly things. It was rather strange, but he said, I salute to you for your wisdom. You're quite enlightened. So, but anyway, this war has to happen, so let's start. So Vritasura comes with his trident, and he tries to kill him with the trident, and he swallows him. He enlarges himself. He becomes huge, and he swallows Indra. But Indra has got the Narayana Kavacha, so he's got that armor of protection. So with the help of that, he is able to come out unscathed, and then finally using the Vajrayuda, he kills the Asura, Vritasura. And immediately after that, Vritta, a glow of light is seen emanating from him, and it directly goes and merges with Brahman. Vritasura is actually, there is a backstory to him too. He is actually Chitraketu, born as Chitraketu in his previous birth, and at that time he was a great devotee of Narayana. Due to a curse, he had to take this particular birth, but at the end of this he is emancipated, and he merges with Narayana. That is the story of Vritta. Coming back to Indra now, so he realizes that he should not have Acharya Devo Bhava. What is it? Jnanyavadhyani karmani tani sevitavyani no itarani. What he would never want anybody to do to him, he has done, and that too to his guru. So, and two sins now. One is the guru's death, and now also Vritasura's death. So two hatyas, brahmahatyas he has committed. So he has to atone for his sins. So he is very repentant, and he goes into a self-exile. He banishes himself to Lake Manasa, a distant lake. He relinquishes his throne. He has to, and he goes to Lake Manasa, and there he goes under the lake and diminishes his own self in a diminished form. He stays in the stalk of a lotus that is growing in that lake. That lake is guarded by Goddess Lakshmi, and he lives there for 10,000s of years over there in the stalk of the lotus. He realizes that tapas, penance alone, is the only means by which he can atone for his sins. So he stays there. He does not accept his share of the harvest, and he stays away from his throne and all the worldly pleasures of heaven for tens and thousands of years, and then only he comes back. So that is how he repents for what he did, and that is how he sort of atones for his sins. And in the interim period, when the Indra is away, somebody has to rule the gods. That is when Nahusha is instated into the throne. Of course, that's a story for another day. So, coming back to the Subhashitam, Acharya Devo Bhava Yanyavadhyani Karmani Tani Sevitavyani. Do not do that which you would not want others to do to you. No itarani, nothing else. Do only good deeds. Deeds that you would like others to do to you, and you would like it, and nothing else. No itarani, none else. Yanyasmakam sucharitani tani tvayopasyani, no itarani. Namo Namaha.